Hey everybody, we are live and welcome to The Grid. It is another Wednesday, another exciting episode. We have a very exciting guest today. It is it's a he.
I am a he, Scott.
I know, and he has like feelings in the whole 9 yards. We went over this earlier.
I have two feelings.
He has two feelings, love and hate. It's weird. Anyway,
Just love and love.
We are very excited. Love and love. It's been a long day. We already did a webinar today, so we're like still punchy from that. But we're very honored to have with us Josh Haftel. He works at Adobe. He's got an awesome job. He is the Lightroom mobile product manager, and it's one of my favorite apps ever. And I love it, love it, love it. And it's exciting to have you here.
Thank you, Scott. It's exciting to be here.
We've had a really fun day. So we did a special webcast for Kelby One members. So it's exclusively for Kelby One members. And we had such a good time. And it wasn't because we were drinking. It was because there were so many questions pouring in. It was just a flood. So we had a lot of good questions and a lot of really great stuff. In fact, we brought a couple extra from there just for today. But we're here to answer your questions. And I want to talk to you about something that we did earlier today. And then, and this is before the webinar or anything. Hey, look, you got a lower third. Right, it's right there.
Where was it?
See, at the bottom? Lower third, your name, like down.
Oh,
it's
there.
Down there. Oh, God, it went away.
It went away. It was like over here somewhere. I can't.
Yeah, and once it's gone away, they can't bring it back because it's like a one.
Oh,
there. Now it's back.
I'm touching
Boom.
it. I'm touching
Mind blown.
Touch. Hi.
It was that kind of webinar. Anyway, but before we get started, of course, the big news. Now, not that having you here is not big news because it is certainly big. But
thank you.
There was other big news, also Adobe news. Yesterday, Adobe announced a brand new version of Photoshop. Photoshop CC 2015.5.
It's a good name.
It's a perfect name.
I like that name.
That's what I would have named it in 2016. Anyway, but it is out now, and the initial response, the response I'm reading all over the web, everybody's blown away. It has been, I cannot remember the last time a version of Photoshop came out that has the universal love that this one has. There is some amazing stuff in it. You know that like every once in a while, like the Adobe engineers just pull a crazy rabbit out of their hat. Dehaze for Lightroom,
For example.
stuff like that. Well, there is some really great stuff. If you haven't heard about it, go to my Facebook page, facebook.com/skelby, so Skelby. And we did a webinar yesterday. It was for public for everybody, so you can go watch it. And we went through all the features and answered questions, and it was just a lot of fun. Go to my blog, scottkelby.com, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so that was yesterday. One more thing, and then we're going to get straight to the topic. Friday, I'm coming out with a class. I've already recorded the class, but it's released this Friday on how to get up to speed on the new Photoshop. Do you know that it's Photoshop 17? It's actually a full why am I telling you work there?
I don't know. I'm easy to talk to, Scott.
It's
That's probably why.
It would be Photoshop 17. It's like a full version update. And so anyway, I'm doing a class on it. I've done the class. It comes out Friday. And it's not another demo because everybody's seen the features now, or by Friday they will. This is how to use them. And there's everything from keyboard shortcuts to little tips to things I've learned about it and things that'll help you along the way. That'll be on Kelby One. And if you're not a Kelby One member, of course, you can take the free trial, watch the class, and then cancel. We'll never know. Okay, so we want to get to so here's what I want to do. And first, we have some giveaways. We're not going to do the giveaways to the end because that's the way we work. First off, a book on Lightroom. Whoa! How do I do that in Lightroom? I'm sorry, camera 2. You know, this camera 2 doesn't have the red light. It's very upsetting.
It's going to drive me nuts. I'm not going to figure it out. We're going to have Juan jump up and down behind it.
If you see yourself appear huge on the big screen, it's camera 2.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we're giving away this book. You know what's in this book? A whole chapter on Lightroom Mobile. Yes. What else are we giving away? We're giving away 3 ebooks. The only reason we're giving away ebooks is the printed books have not hit stores yet, but the ebook is available. 3 ebook versions of the companion book to it that just came out. How do I do that in Photoshop? I have no idea. But if I did know, it would be in this book. 3 of those, one or the other. That's what we're giving away today. All right. Peter Treadway from London says, hello from London. Hello, Peter. Peter, isn't it a little bit late for you to be up?
He's having some tea.
Matt Charnitsky says, hi, guys. Hi. Deb Usilka. Deb Usilka was on our webcast, and she said it was an awesome webcast.
Thanks,
Thank
Deb.
you. Thank you very much. Okay, so what I wanted to go over, and if we can you scroll up a little bit there, Meredith? Thank you. So today I got to sit down. This is something I really value being able to do, but I am carrying your guys' message forward. I had the Lightroom mobile product manager in my office, and I said, can I tell you what I'm hearing out on the street? Can I tell you what I'm hearing on the street? People want stuff in Lightroom mobile. Here's what it is. And I got to present my case for the things that I hear the most from people that I meet on my seminar tour, people that I hear that are Kelby One members, strangers on the street that stop me and go, will you please ask if you ever get to meet the Lightroom mobile product manager? Like, it's kind of clunky the way it comes off the lips.
Sorry about that. I'll try and work on a better title next time.
Could you just powerful overlord of mobile devices? So we sat down and we went through this list. I'm going to tell you,
is kind of a little bit. I mean, it was more like a scene out of Clockwork Orange. He had me strapped down. My eyes were closed open.
They were
I couldn't get away. It was basically just like, yes.
But it was great to be able to have this. Now, can I tell you that I'm going to give you the list, but I want to tell you, here's how things go with the product manager. Either they go, that makes sense. I could see that. Yeah. Or they argue it till their death. Why it's a bad idea. Now,
not to my death. No. Until the idea is death.
Yeah, until the idea is dead.
Yes,
he waits until the idea is dead. I got to say, you were very, very open-minded about this stuff. So I'm going to give him a greater amount of love than I normally would.
I'm from San Francisco. We're very open-minded there.
Yeah. So that's why. Okay, here we go. First off, I hear everybody asking for custom presets. Now that some people are asking, they want to sync from their desktop Lightroom over to Lightroom Mobile.
I've heard that.
Some people are saying, I just want to make presets right in Lightroom Mobile, but it's kind of the same thing.
I've also heard that.
Because you wouldn't want to create a preset in Lightroom Mobile and then not be able to have it on your desktop.
Probably not.
Now, you got to realize, when I ask him for these things, he doesn't go, oh, that's coming. He goes, that's interesting. Because he's not going to tell me. No, he's like, really? And then we'll talk about things. Now, the one we talked about a lot was this next one. Color labels. Ooh, there's a good title for you. Guy Jordan says, Mobile Poobah.
Sure. Do I get a funny hat? Because only if I get a funny hat will I go by that name.
Oh, you would. And if I used that word Mobile Poobah in front of my daughter, she would still be laughing like weeks later. He said, boo. Okay, so... So
you were talking about color labels.
Color labels.
Before you got distracted by Poobah.
Color labels. I said, you know what? And so what we did was, it was good because it wound up in the webinar too. I gave him all the reasons I would want to use color labels.
Yep.
And then later in the webinar, one of our Kelby One members gave how they use it. Right. Totally different from the way I use it.
But equally valid.
Equally valid. And he got to a place where he said, that is interesting. I've been fighting this color labels thing for a while. All right, virtual copies. Honestly, I don't really have, this is not one of my big ones, but this is one that I hear a lot from the community. I couldn't, virtual copies, I'm fine with them on the desktop, but I'm just passing that one on. This next one's big. I whined about it quite a bit. So why do I have to do 2 taps to do something in Lightroom Mobile? So I want to go to the develop module, or what do you call it, the develop module? What do you call it? The editing area?
Edit stuff?
The edit stuff.
Edit stuff. It's officially the edit stuff.
Edit stuff. Hit the edit stuff button.
Yep.
I want to do highlights. I have to tap on the highlight tile and then drag a slider.
Right.
That's not how Lightroom Desktop works. You just drag a slider. It says the word highlights and you drag it.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like if you have solo mode turned on, which I know that you're a big proponent for.
You know I love solo mode.
I know you love solo mode. So in solo mode, if you don't have currently like the basic panel open, you have to first click on the basic panel.
Okay.
And then drag the highlight slider.
Let's assume that I have.
I'll just keep on arguing with you.
No,
we talked about this.
Yes.
I love arguing.
He does. He loves it. That's how you become a product manager, by the way. If you're tough to get along with, literally, it's either going to be a call from Apple, Adobe, or Google, and you're going to be a product manager.
I already worked for 2 of those 3, so we'll see.
That's right. You've worked for Google and you've worked for Adobe, and so it's only a matter
of
time.
Apple, I need a 3rd for the trifecta. Come on, let's go.
All right. But if you're in the basic panel, I can move any slider, exposure, highlights, whites, blacks, shadows, whatever, just by dragging it. And you're making me do two I don't like that. So that's a user interface thing.
Sure.
I've been griping about that. What about watermarks? Watermarks, got to have watermarks. The reason I'm listing these here is because we're about to ask you to send in your ideas, right? We really want to hear what yours are. But if I tell you what these ones we've already talked about to death, then you won't have to go, hey, what about watermarks?
Well, they're probably going to still ask, well, what about watermarks?
Yeah, so are they adding watermarks? This is what you get right here. He's not going to tell us, but
well, I mean, no. So
he's listening.
Here's the good thing, right? And I mentioned this to you before, and what I really love is I think that's really, really important to hear from people what's important to them. And because a lot of times there could be this thing called the vocal minority,
right?
And we don't want to like create product features that only a very, very
4%
small number of people,
yeah, exactly.
Love, right. Because I mean, there's only a finite amount of hours in the day. We can only make so many features, and so we have to make sure that we're doing the right features. And one of the most important things is we want to make features that people actually would use. And so the important thing is to hear from the actual users what's important and what they want to use. So that's why I think having a situation where people can talk about it and ask like, hey, this would be important to me is great. I would love to hear that.
Right.
And it's not about like saying we don't want to hear this. And at the same time, as you mentioned, I can't say what we're going to do, what we're not going to do, because until it's ready to go, you never know. You're going to run into a problem and then you can't talk about it.
But can I tell you something? You can tell by the way he responds to things. If he smiles, it's somewhere. It's somewhere. It might not be soon, but if you ask him about a question and he smiles and goes, that sounds interesting, then I can go to myself. He's smiling and it says it sounds interesting with a happy sound. They're probably either working on it or considering it. If he starts arguing, they are not considering it. If he starts going, oh, what the, why would you want that? Then you know, okay, it's not happening. I only have one more. Oh, by the way, can I tell you guys something? Yes. Have you noticed that it's moving away from watermarking and moving towards branding, like just in the bigger global picture? It's no longer sticking your big copyright and your name in the middle. Now it's putting your brand or your logo on the side, not to protect it from being stolen, but to basically use it as a marketing piece, or like, wow, who took that photo? Because you know what, if you go on Instagram and you see a photo and somebody shared it and all, you have to do a little digging. Sometimes you find images online, you see them on Google. If your brand's right on there, you go, oh, that's Bob Johnson's photo. So I like that shift. I hate watermarking and I like branding.
Right. And I think that's a good point, because right now when we see a very small innocuous watermark at the bottom right, it feels classy. You see like somebody's name emblazoned on the front of it, it feels a little tacky.
Well, it ruins the photo.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Like, nobody wants to stick a bunch of type in front of their thing. It's like looking through a restaurant window to see something inside and it says, Thursdays, try the veal,
Yep. Nope.
The last one, and this is another big one, is you do now, and a lot of people don't realize this, Lightroom Mobile did add the ability to sort individual thumbnails.
Sure.
So you used to have to go to the desktop, drag them in the order that you wanted, and then it would sync back to Lightroom Mobile, which, come on. Anyway, so here's what I said this morning in our lengthy meeting, which was, I should be able, now, so it's there now, but it's a little clunky. You have to go to like a special sorting way to do it and all.
Wait, you tell me you don't like hoops?
No, I don't like jumping through hoops.
Oh, come on.
No,
man.
I don't.
Hoops are great.
I know they are. They really are. Hoops are great for certain things, like hulaing. But here's the thing. It's every app on the iOS. You tap on a thumbnail, drag it where you want it until you get to Lightroom Mobile. It's now, no, we have to enter a special editing mode and all that kind of. That's my own like whining thing. All right, so those are some. I'm going to read some of your comments, and what we're really looking for you guys is, I had this wonderful opportunity to sit with a Lightroom product manager and say, man, you know what I would love to see? You have that same opportunity now too. He's right here. He can't leave. There's no place to go. We have security guards at both doors.
I'm actually strapped into this seat. I literally
can't
cannot
see,
get
but
up.
it is,
just,
yeah.
Like, it's just
he can't go
out
anywhere.
Of the chair. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and so he's all yours. So I'm getting the ball rolling. I'm going to turn it over to you guys. I'm going to read a couple of comments. So Matt Charnitsky says, are there still issues shooting tethered in Lightroom with the most recent version of iOS? I've been delaying applying the update because I'm like peeing my pants afraid that I won't be able to shoot tethered. Now you're talking about, I'm guessing that you're talking about, Matt, shooting tethered into Lightroom desktop and then using the Lightroom for the web or something to transfer those images over to like an iPad?
No, I think that...
Or a target collection.
I think it's
No?
issues shooting tethered into Lightroom with the most recent version of Mac OS, not iOS. I think that's what the difference is.
Oh,
Because
Matt,
I think
will
he's
you-
asking about
yeah,
whether or
will
not
you
he should
clear?
update his laptop or not. Because there's no way to shoot
Oh.
tethered into iOS.
Yeah. Will you clarify that, Matt? So you were saying I'm still having shoot. Now, Matt, are you I know some Nikon users were having a problem because I shoot tethered into the, but I don't think I'm on the current Mac. I haven't updated because of stuff like what Matt is saying. I know, dude, I'm on I don't know what version of the Mac operating system on you. This is an old
OS
machine
9?
too.
You can go to that.
I'm on OS 8. No, I'm on Yosemite or Yosemite as it's called.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right. Josh, they want to know what your Twitter name is. What is your Twitter name?
It's, Mac. But, okay, yep.
Oh,
Mac
yes.
OS.
No.
But just get rid of the I.
It says
Matt.
iOS.
Yeah, just get rid of that I.
Yeah, it's
because
just Mac OS.
I is for the iPad and the iPhone, just to be clear.
Yeah,
But yes, so my Twitter address, even though I hardly ever tweet, because I haven't figured out how to say anything meaningful in only 140 characters, because as Scott mentioned, I talk way too much, is Josh Haftel.
Wow. How would they ever find you? So you're at Josh Haftel.
Yeah, it's my name.
Haftel.
You can find me everywhere. My website is joshhaftel.com. My Flickr is Josh Haftel. My Insta is Josh Haftel. My Twitter is Josh Haftel.
Yeah,
my
if you have a
Google
cool
Plus.
name like that, you can.
Oh, it's a wonderful name. It's like half of a hotel. It's a Haftel.
Man, where's the cricket sound when you need one? All right. Matt Charniski says, Scott, you should write a book. How do I do that in adult life? Adulting is hard. Man, adulting is hard. Let's see. Anonymous 833 is asking a Photoshop CC question. Will the new Photoshop CC overwrite the old version? So when you go to actually download it, there is a little button that says Advanced Options. If you want to keep the old version and the new version, go to the Advanced Options and uncheck Remove Old Version. To turn off that checkbox, it'll leave them both. Now, one reason that you might want to do this is to maybe move your presets or your plugins and stuff, but because it takes over your presets and all that different stuff. But I'm actually gonna, when we're done with the grid today, I'm doing a video on how to move your plugins. So that's coming up later today. I'll probably share it tomorrow on social. Peter T in London is not hybrid. Well, not hybrid Peter. It's Peter Treadway. No, it's not. It's a different one.
I don't know what hybrid Peter means. Can you share the
Hybrid
inside
Peter
joke?
is it's half a human, half alien. No, it's Peter and Dave are part of hybrid photography, which is really it's best that you don't know. Raging Badger says, so is it going to process raw files, at least DNG, or is it already doing that?
So right now, you can get any kind of raw files that you put into Lightroom Desktop, and you can upload them through Lightroom Desktop, synchronize with Lightroom Mobile, and you'll be able to process the raw files that you would import into Lightroom Desktop. But other than that, right now, the only files that you can import directly onto your device are non-raw files.
Can we just for a second kind of go over that process? Because there's a lot of people that are confused about, because today in one of our sessions, somebody asked, well, doesn't it make your image like a JPEG and then it goes to your, so it takes your RAW and then makes it a JPEG on,
Right. Nope. Yep.
It
Okay,
does
that's great.
not do that.
So let's talk about that. So right now, in order to get, let's say I've got my iPad Pro over here and I've got my iPhone down here on the floor somewhere, so I could step on it because that's what you do.
That is.
Yeah. And so I want to get my photos onto that. So what I've got is I've got photos on my laptop, and I've set my laptop up to work with Lightroom in the cloud, the whole Creative Cloud synchronization up there somewhere. Yes, up there. And so what we can do is we basically use our username and password to log into the Lightroom ecosystem.
Right.
And then any of the files that I put into a collection that I've indicated to synchronize with Lightroom Mobile, we will, from Lightroom Desktop, upload what we're calling a smart preview. And what that smart preview does is it creates a new file format. It's smaller in terms of the resolution, so it's actually a lower resolution file. And then it takes that lower resolution file, but it includes the raw data, meaning it includes the ability to change your white balance settings without losing any kind of quality. It includes more than 8 bits per channel of color information. It gives you highlight recovery. It doesn't have the JPEG compression artifacts.
That smart preview is actually very robust. It's not
very smart.
It's a smart preview.
Aha.
It's not a JPEG.
That's right.
So,
But that's going to take it gives you the ability, basically, so it gives you the ability to synchronize those files back and forth with the ability that I can then take that file that's on my iPad or iPhone or Android device for that matter, and I can modify that file with all the same kinds of adjustments and the same kind of quality and the same kind of abilities. And then when I go back to my desktop, that raw file has been updated with those edits. And so this gives me that ability to go back and forth. Now I can also, if I want to, export that file on my mobile device. Now, if I want to export it on my mobile device, maybe I want to take that file with all those kinds of adjustments and changes, and I want to share it to Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or Google Plus or wherever photos are being shared today. I think Snapchat is the place that people share photos every once in a while.
Snapchat.
Yeah.
I've heard of that. The kids use it.
Yep. Not me. I'm not a kid anymore, unfortunately.
But I think a lot of people get lost in that hole. Well, what is really going over from desktop to mobile?
Yep. Smart preview.
It's a smart preview.
New file format, everybody.
And so I'm gonna go backwards. I'm gonna back it out. So I have a raw photo on my desktop.
Yep.
I sync that collection over here. So how does it change my editing on the mobile device? It's really essentially the same as editing the raw photo because for those of you who don't know, if you shoot in JPEG and you go into Lightroom and you go to the white balance, there are no presets there except for just auto. You won't see shade or fluorescent or tungsten or any of that stuff. It's just auto. Basically, you're kind of on your own. That's because the white balance is baked into the file that you did when you took it. Doesn't mean you can't change the white balance, but you can't choose the presets.
Well, to be clear, like you can change the white balance, as you said.
Of
You
course.
can make it warmer, cooler. You can add in a little bit of magenta, a little bit of green.
Right.
But it doesn't give you the ability to back out to the original different kinds of color balance changes as if you were changing it in the camera.
Right.
So that way you actually are losing some detail. And this is one of the drawbacks of a JPEG. Now, of course, JPEG is smaller.
Right.
So if you're never going to change your white balance, and there's some situations in which JPEG is perfectly fine. But there are many situations in which maybe the white balance isn't exact and you want to be able to modify it. Now, if you try and change the white balance in a JPEG and you compare that to changing the white balance on a RAW file, you'll see that you have a lot more quality in that RAW file.
Oh, yeah.
So this is one of those situations in which, right, you will get the value with that smart preview of being able to modify the raw level of white balance.
This is the first time that I've ever heard it referred to as like a small raw file.
Right.
I couldn't even really tell you. I knew you weren't sending over a JPEG, but I've never heard it referred to as like the smart preview being a small raw. But it makes sense when all of a sudden you think about things like, well, that's right. I can go into the white balance and choose shade, which you could never do that with a JPEG.
You shouldn't throw shade.
No, you should never throw shade. Don't ever throw shade. So anyway, I just thought it would be helpful for that stuff. First, Fabian Bono, hi here from Argentina. Fabian, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Brandy Hinman Williams, love everything you do. Brandy, you can comment anytime on anything.
Wait, who's she talking about though?
You.
Are you sure?
I'm certain.
Thank you, Brandy. I appreciate
Dallas
that.
Anderson, I have the Lightroom book. Love it. Thank you very much. All right, Chris P. Mitten has asked, is this available on Android yet?
Yes, it's been available on Android for a while now. So you can go onto the Google Play Store, and in fact, the same functionality that's available on the iOS is available on Android. You can go download it today if you like. It works on tablets, it works on mobile devices, it even has capture functionality. It's got some things that you can't even do. In fact, one thing you can do on Android that you can't do on iOS is you can actually shoot inside of the built-in camera device on the Android Lightroom mobile app in DNG format. And so the Android device, there was a person who was asking before, can you edit DNG files? Well, the Lightroom on the Android actually
But you have to have an Android that supports shooting in RAW, right?
You can actually edit DNGs.
They all shoot in RAW?
No. Not all of them will shoot in RAW, but every Android version will edit DNGs.
Okay, there we go. All right. So here's some things that are coming in. Feature requests, which is what we're looking for.
Yay.
The spot removal and healing tool, please. All right. Can I add on to that?
Wait.
Can we not have the healing tool that's in Lightroom? I'm sorry.
Well, oh, really?
I want the Photoshop the Photoshop healing brush. I got to be straight with you. Is way better than the one in Lightroom.
Okay.
The one in Lightroom, it is one of the things that makes me leave Lightroom and go to Photoshop. Now, if I'm just removing a single spot, like I got a speck or a spot or something, I'm not going to go all the way over to Photoshop. But if I have to remove anything more, I'm almost guaranteed to leave Lightroom and go to Photoshop for the healing brush.
Now, is
the
that
technology
because
may be better?
the technology,
or
or is that because of like having layers and layer masks? And
No,
be able to
no, it's
adjust
because
things?
using the brush is very clunky. I got to tell you, I'm going to give you a classic example. If I am removing spots from someone's face, because I did a class on portrait retouching just in Lightroom, because there's people that don't have Photoshop. I feel bad for those people. But anyway,
Well, for $9.99 a month, you can get both.
I know. Hey, if you're a Kelby One member, you get it for $7.99 if you're just coming to it. Like
Let's keep on plugging back and forth. Let's just keep going. There you go.
Let's go. All right. So, did you know? All right. So if I'm retouching your face and I want to remove a blemish here, all right, a lot of times I will click on up here, and I kid you not, it will sample from the person's chest, and I'm like, really? There's a big circle from here and a line all the way. Do you know how different the skin on your chest is from your cheek? And it picks weird places. It'll sample an eye. It'll just do crazy stuff that it just doesn't do in Photoshop. The Photoshop tool is really responsive. It works really, really great. All those circles and all that crap drive me nuts, and I hear it all the time. I'm sorry I'm saying that. I got to be honest with you. And guys, if I'm wrong, write in. Oh, there it is. First one there. Stephanie Peterson, agree. The healing brush is much better in Photoshop than Lightroom.
Now, see,
there it is again.
Here's where you're just going to start. You're going to have everybody coming in with these. Like,
well, it's because I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
Oscar Flores, yes, please. The healing brush needs to be fixed in Lightroom, and it's not that the actual circle that it repairs isn't good, but using it it leaves a little bit to be desired.
That's fine. I think that's great feedback.
Wow, you're good. All right, I'm sorry, I had to give you that one. Okay, so let's see. Let's go back up to the top here. Up here in Canada, we would love to have watermarks in mobile. That's from JB Bar 64.
Cool.
Oscar Flores says, "How about the liquify tool in Lightroom?" That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
But that's got a ways to go. I have a list that's way before liquify.
I think the liquify tool is one of those tools where there's a lot of tech that goes into that. Right now, for example, we've got Photoshop Fix.
I was just going to say,
that's got liquify inside of it, at least on the mobile side. So one of the things that we've been doing for a little while now is, like, as you can tell, Lightroom is all about non-destructive. So Lightroom has this requirement that everything in there needs to be non-destructive, which means pure math. And some of the liquify stuff, sure, you could recreate it with some of that math, but it's very, very heavy.
Yeah.
And so what you wouldn't want to do is you wouldn't want to integrate this liquify step in amongst your other kind of edits.
And now you're not using raw anymore.
You're moving like the exposure slider, it's got to re-render everything slows down. That's basically not what you want. And so, like, figuring out the right way of accomplishing that, I think it's a great challenge and something that we really need to think through, because I agree. The liquify tool, we saw that now. The face aware with liquify is really cool. You can make people's eyes open up.
No, it's very
you
good.
make people smile a little bit better, more. I mean, this is something that people want to do all the time. I know that sometimes I'm a little squinty, especially in the sunlight. You want to get your eyes open a little bit more.
Squinty.
Yeah, I don't smile very much, and when I do smile, it's covered by my facial hair. So, like, being able to, like, just go like would be a really great addition, because I look really great that way.
All right. Hey, I just saw some comments. One just went by that I saw. All right. Hey, Hybrid Dave. Now, that is a hybrid. That hybrid is hybrid. So Hybrid Dave says he agrees. Lightroom does so much, but every now and then I have to jump over to Photoshop, and it messes with my flow. It messes with your flow.
I love this comment, though. I mean, this is one of those things where I feel like he now says, every now and then. So there was a time when Lightroom 1 came out. It was like, for me at least, 50% of the time, I was switching back and forth between Photoshop and Lightroom, Photoshop and Lightroom. And every subsequent version, you may have noticed, for those of you that have been coming along with us for the ride, you use it less and less and less frequently.
Agreed,
and
but you know what, though? This is funky. I go to Photoshop for stuff that Lightroom can't do, but only the healing brush is where I'm going. Lightroom can do it, but it's not is good. So the tool is there.
Right.
It's just implemented in such a funky way
Sure.
that I have to go to Photoshop. That's different than I need to go because there's nothing there.
Right. And it's also, like I said, good feedback. And these are the kinds of things that we need to identify, to work on and improve. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I like job security. I like having things to fix.
All right, and we're not going to read all of these. There's a whole bunch. 100% agree. The Lightroom healing brush needs a rework. The healing brush needs to be much more responsive. Spot on with the healing brush. I second that. So there's a whole bunch of those. We're not going to go through all those. There are some really good questions, but it's break time. So we are going to take a short break. When we come back, we've got a lot of good comments and questions, some answers. I mean, some things that we can answer, and some things that have no answer. But I just want to remind you, on the break, we're looking for ideas and things that you'd like to see added to Lightroom Mobile. So if you have those, we'd love to hear from you.
And Lightroom Web.
Oh, and Lightroom Web. And for everybody that just went,
What's Lightroom Web?
what's Lightroom Web? Maybe we can get you to show that to us in a little while.
Sure. Go to lightroom.adobe.com and check it out in the break.
Yeah, start there. Go to lightroom.adobe.com, sign in with your Adobe ID, and you're going to be like, what? What? It's pretty cool. And it's getting cooler all the time. All right, we're going to take a short break. We come back. More Josh, more you, more love.
Hey guys, Christy from Shark Pixel here, and I am so excited to share my new class with you. It's all about how to protect yourself against some of the most common mistakes that photographers make, especially when they're just starting out in their career. You're going to learn things like how to fix overexposed images. You're going to learn how to get rid of motion blur from images, how to get rid of noise from images. You're also going to learn how to even the lighting on your client's face. These are all super awesome tips that you're going to learn in this next class. So check it out only on kelby1.com.
In a world where the next hot shot is out of reach, one brand stands alone to let you take it. Meet Max. June 1st. Kickstarter only. 30 days. Don't miss it.
Over the course of the last couple of years, Adobe has been consistently releasing and updating a series of free mobile apps. They run on the iPhone and the iPad, and in most cases, we've already moved them to Android. I'm really excited to show you just a little bit of what we're doing on the phone, the tablet, and the desktop. We're going to look at how these applications communicate with each other, how they communicate with the cloud, and how they're deeply integrated with the web and the desktop. You're going to learn all sorts of new things about creating content, editing it, and of course, accessing the files that you already have. I'm really excited to show you just some of what we're doing. Let's go ahead and get started.
Hey, we're back. Scott Kelby here with Adobe Lightroom Mobile Product Manager, Josh Haftel. Hey, real quickly, just want to mention, because this is the first time I'm mentioning it, I'm going to be doing my Shoot Like a Pro tour Reloaded, which is a kind of a part 2 tour, in Nashville, Tennessee. The beard will be there. Not your beard. The beard. Brad Moore will be there. It is coming up in Nashville on Monday, August 15th. So get your tickets now, and I hope to see you then. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be teaching my Lightroom 7-point system there, and I hope you'll come out, spend the day with me, and share the love. All right, we have lots of great comments here. Now, I want to just say this, and I've learned this very acutely in the last couple of days. You are the Lightroom mobile product manager. He's very mobile oriented. So when you ask for things on Lightroom desktop, he laughs and laughs. That's not me. I'm mobile. Desktop is the old school stuff. That's what old people use. I'm a new hip guy, you know. In so many words, he said that. It was implied, certainly. Anyway, so if you're asking like, hey, I want this in Lightroom, he can just go, well,
Good idea.
that's a good idea. Or since he's not the Lightroom product manager, go, yeah, we're adding that.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't
No,
throw
no,
my
no,
buddy Sherrod
no.
under the bus like that.
No, Sherrod's a good guy, very good guy. All right, we got to get him on here.
If you like.
He's never been on the grid.
What's wrong with that guy?
Yeah, you know, he's never been on the grid, has
Well, he's
he?
not here to defend himself, so let's talk about it. Why has he never been here?
Why has Sherrod never been on the grid? He is the Lightroom product manager. Now, Tom Hogarty, who used to be it, but now Tom's like, some super powered thing. I think he sits in the tower with a laser and just shoots people. Yeah, we got to get Shard on here. He's awesome, right? Yeah, everybody's like, I'm looking around this dude, and everybody's like, yeah, we got to get him in
Bring
here.
him on, bring him on.
All right, but we're gonna go through here. Whoa, okay. So Dave Nickel says spot removal in mobile. That would be actually that wasn't on my list. I don't hear that a lot, but that would be good.
I like the idea.
But you're not smiling.
Why? Oh, I'm sorry.
See, smiling means it may be something they're working on. Just a straight face is like, all right. But how would you do that? Because that would be nice to just tap once.
Sure.
Like just spots.
Well, I mean, so if you look inside of Photoshop Fix, it's already there, right?
Right, it is there in Photoshop Fix.
So there's already like some kind of UI patterns available.
Would you mind? Could you show, and we might take a second to get this going, but could you show how to go take an image from Lightroom to Fix and back?
I can try.
Do you not do that often?
I don't.
Okay, so I'm just going to talk you through it.
I mean, I have it here. Sure, I do have it.
There is basically a hot link inside of Lightroom to go straight over to take your image over to Photoshop Fix.
Here, I'll show you right here.
Okay, here we go. We're going to see it.
We got it open.
Okay.
All
There
right.
we go.
So
All right.
here's the app, right? And what I can do is I can even like go over here and I can just zoom. So you see this where it says edit in. If I tap on that, it'll prepare the photo, and it has no network connection, of course, because I had to turn it off. Otherwise, all of my Facebook messages and Snapchat messages and all the other messages come in.
And I don't want to even see your Snapchat messages.
Nope. But yeah, sorry. Well, I have to have this file is actually online to be able to do that. But it would show up. Unfortunately, I can't.
And it would ask, where do you want to edit in?
It has there's two options inside there. One of them is, do you want to liquefy or do you want to do the spot healing?
Right.
Inside of Photoshop.
So it takes your image, you go over there, you're able to apply either liquefy or the spot healing, and then it sends the image back to Lightroom Mobile.
Right.
So let me ask you a question, Josh, if I may be so bold.
You can be.
Clearly, you guys have the ability in a mobile app to do liquefy and healing.
Sure.
Do you know the guys that work on Photoshop Fix?
Of course I do.
So maybe one day you get a couple of sandwiches, really nice ones.
Well, let's put it this way, right? So
You come by their office.
This is the same question that was happening before. Why is there not liquefy in Lightroom?
Right.
It's not an issue about like, would it be technically possible? It's like, do you actually want it? Do you want every time that you do a liquefy that suddenly you change the exposure and it takes a minute to update?
I agree.
So that's the difference.
I'm not.
So if we take the liquefy out of the equation, then you start talking only about the spot healing.
Yes.
Because we have shown that Lightroom can do spot healing.
Yes.
And then I come back to say, that's a great idea.
Okay. So this is an interesting one. I'm not sure. What exactly. Mike O'Brien asks, can we have the variations tool back?
Well, variations was inside of Photoshop.
Okay, that's the thing that gave you like 9 different versions of your photo.
Kind of like going to the eye doctor. Do you like?
Yeah, it showed you a chart.
You like 1 or 2
and
better.
And it would show you like a grid of photos and it goes, this is what it looks like darker, lighter. More red, more blue, more green, more. And you went, oh, I like that one. And it applied that effect. That was considered a real beginner effect, though. But that was in Photoshop. You can't ask him for Photoshop stuff either. Johan, welcome, Johan, all the way from the Netherlands. A reset revert button in the camera raw filter.
That's a Photoshop question, and there is a reset /
But not
revert.
not in the filter, is there? That's when you apply it as a filter. Like you already have an image open, you apply
there's a reset.
Is there a reset? Let's go find out. Hang on. Don't move, Johan, and I know that you're not moving. Let's go filter, camera raw, and you don't see it on screen here because I'm not connected to control room 2, which is what they would yell.
Wouldn't it be over here?
Oh, okay. No, well, you can do there, I guess. Previous conversion. Yeah, so Johan, well, there's 2 places actually. The first one I found was down here. Mm-hmm. All right, so Johan, when you have the camera raw, now if you're asking about Lightroom Mobile, then that's different. But wait, you have a reset. There's a reset. I know there's a reset in Lightroom Mobile. Johan,
But you're talking about camera raw filter.
in camera raw, apply it as a filter. You have 2 choices: hold the Option key on Mac or the Alt key on Windows, and the cancel button changes to reset. That's number one. Or if you go to the right of the word basic, at the top of the basic panel, there's a pop-down menu.
Called the hamburger menu.
Called the hamburger menu. It is a little, yeah, it's the hamburger.
No, this is a hamburger.
No, it is.
It's
It
a
is.
hamburger.
It's a
menu.
hamburger.
It's a hamburger menu.
Okay, and then go to camera raw defaults. So there's two places.
Yep.
So next question actually is a Lightroom mobile question. Does the mobile Lightroom have a panorama and HDR stitcher? Josh?
No.
No, it does not. Desktop does. That one does not. I love it when today we had this moment where the answer was just no and there was nothing else to say. It was just no, and we went dead silent. All right. Devang Jisani says the brush tool in Lightroom does not have a back button. So once you select something and it's not accurate, you can't undo it. You have to brush up from the beginning. No, you don't. Hold the Option key on Mac, the Alt key on Windows. It changes to a whoops, I made a mistake button and lets you erase anything that you, so it lets you paint and undo. Hold the Option key on Mac, Devang, or the Alt key on Windows. Changes your brush to the basically eraser brush. All right, I want keywording in Lightroom Mobile that syncs back to the Lightroom desktop, says VW Mo. What does Josh say? Keywording in Lightroom Mobile that syncs back to Lightroom desktop. That seems like it would be an easy thing. It's adding text.
I've heard this request before.
Yes, he has. Now, we heard this in the webinar earlier. This was not on my list, but I've heard this one also.
No, it does make a lot of sense. I mean, when we're using Lightroom Desktop today to be able to organize our photos, I'm over here now. Here we go. Oh, there.
Yeah, you know that Meredith apparently thinks this is an important topic. If she
Apparently
switches,
it is,
if
and
she
here I
switches you
am.
to camera two.
There we go. Look at a nice close-up of my beautiful hair. No, so I think that the answer is people have asked for this, of course, because you use Lightroom Desktop today to organize your photos. And one of the ways that you use Lightroom Desktop today to organize your photos is to be able to say, like, oh, this is a dog, this is a cat, this is Nepal, this is Scott. I mean, there's lots of different ways of using these keywords, and if you're getting really used to using those and that's part of your workflow, clearly it makes sense that when I go on mobile, on the road, I want to do something similar. Like I said, I've definitely heard this request before. How we implement it, how it would be made, and how it would work together so that it has a harmonious future is still something that we're working through, but it makes sense because, of course, this gets down into the goal of making the workflow just flow.
Did you notice he said it's something that we're working through?
Sure, of course.
He's so non-committal, it kills me. Okay.
I mean, like as I told you before, Scott, I could be committal, and then suddenly somebody from up on high, who I have no control over, says, "Don't do that."
It would be Tom with a laser gun.
No, it could be Tom, it could be above Tom, it could be a lot of people. It could be you that just says, "Look, if you do that, I'm going to get you fired."
Oh, by the way, it will never be me, and I can't get anybody fired. Stephanie Peterson says, Lightroom as a whole, love, love, love. I'm feeling you. You know what? I can't imagine like life without Lightroom. I spend so much of my time in Lightroom. Like I said, I go to Photoshop in emergencies. I love Photoshop. When I go there, I really enjoy it. But for my day-to-day workflow, I'm in Lightroom.
Sure, me too.
Unless I need to use the healing brush, then I got to freaking get it out. Okay,
You want
let's.
to keep on nailing this one?
No, I do
Let's keep
not.
on going.
No,
Let's
I
keep
don't
on.
want to
Just
keep
on.
nailing it.
Hit me. But I think she also had another point, which was about being able to insert a logo without having to do it in export. And this gets back to the watermarking conversation.
Right.
And
So
this is like wanting to be able to do, and I think that also is another one of those things that makes a lot of sense. I mean, as we talked about, watermark for branding makes a lot of sense. How could we take advantage of that? Why can't I do this without having to go through extra steps? As we had even talked about before, one of our goals within Lightroom was there's a flyer on here. No way.
Yeah,
almost swallowed it.
yeah, that
Then I'd have to get like, what is it?
been here. He's been here for like a week.
Get a bird to get the fly?
Yeah.
Or no, a spider to get the fly, then the bird to get the spider. I don't
And a
remember how
rat
the
to
whole thing
eat the
goes.
thing.
Oh my God. But anyway, I think that makes a lot of sense. We don't want to have, here we go again, close up. We don't want to have to go through this whole process of forcing you to go through so many different hoops, because Scott hates hoops. We just learned that today, unless it's a hula hoop. Everybody get Scott a nice LED hula hoop. I think he would love it. But I think
They
that
make LED hula hoop.
of course they do.
Wow,
They're wonderful.
I'm so out of the hula hoop.
They're wonderful. Anyway, so we do not want to force people to jump through hoops just to be able to accomplish their main goals, and so that makes sense. And figuring out how to make that work is important. But we'll see how that comes about in the future.
Johan says there have been updates to Illustrator, Photoshop, and Muse lately, but no update for Lightroom. Yeah, there was.
Yeah, there's been lots of updates.
Yeah, there
What
was
are you-
just
what are you
there was
talking
just
about?
recently an update. Johan, launch Lightroom. Go under Help and choose Updates. You'll be very surprised.
Well, I mean, it may have also updated automatically while he was updating the other ones. 'Cause
Yeah.
inside of that little updater, there's an option to say update
Yeah,
all.
but
So
it updated what? A week ago?
there's been plenty of updates.
10 days ago?
I think he was talking about like today though, or yesterday.
Oh yeah, it was.
So we do not have, I mean, one of the benefits of the Creative Cloud is that we don't have to worry about launching everything at the same time all the time.
Right.
We can actually update things as they come available. And so when a new version is available, basically each product will go out. They'll see that Lightroom Mobile will update. It has its own cycles for updating. Even if you look at Lightroom Web updates like once a week or twice a week sometimes
Yeah.
with new features and functionality, which
They
is crazy.
do that a lot. Hey, so Mike Pressman says, I would love the content aware crop tool that was just introduced yesterday
Sure.
in Photoshop. Mike, give it a day. Freak, it just came out. Now, I will say this. A lot of the cool things in Lightroom they were born in Photoshop.
A lot of those things.
Now, I will say this. Some of the things that were born in Photoshop, when they made their way to Lightroom, they're better in Lightroom. Panos, for example. I think the Pano feature, I can't go back to using Photoshop's Panos.
Boundary warp, for example.
Boundary warp is insane. That is just amazing. So there were a lot of things, I think, that when they made their way over. So Mike, it just came out yesterday. Give it a day or so. That's some crazy math there. The content aware, it's crazy math. Okay, let's see. Okay, so Kyle Brazer is a product photographer here. And Kyle says, I do 95% of my work in Lightroom. The 5% that I have to go to Photoshop for are usually to clone something. Would love to be able to clone something in Lightroom. You can clone stuff in Lightroom.
You can just change the healing brush to the clone brush.
Yeah, go to the healing brush tool in the develop module and click on click on the spot removal tool and change it from heal to clone. It's not exactly the same as the clone stamp tool in Photoshop. It's not, well, we've gone down that road kind of. Because I really do that for something else. The healing brush has a weird thing about it. The healing brush does not like the edges of things. If you want to remove a spot in the middle of your photo that's all by itself, it'll do a perfect job. If that spot is on the edge of something, it will smear. It will literally look like someone took the edge. It'll remove all of this, but then it smears the edge like you took a wet finger and went around it. So when you switch from heal to clone, it won't do that. You can do a real nice clean cut and all that kind of stuff. So, but I wouldn't say that it becomes the stamp or the clone stamp tool from Photoshop. I think you'll probably find while that's better, you're still going to have to jump over to Photoshop to really get it to work the way you want, because the brush stuff in Photoshop is awesome. Can we answer this one? This is Deb Usilka, and you remember Deb from earlier today, and she's very, very nice and very smart. She wants to know about Lightroom Web. How do you actually sync the files up to Lightroom Web?
That's a great question, Deb. Thank you. It's actually the same way you synchronize the files with Lightroom Mobile and Lightroom Desktop. So any of those files that you've gone in, I'm imagining we're suddenly going to go over to the camera too, but we're not. Okay, fine. So I'm predicting and
You
not
just
doing a good
never
job.
know.
You never
It's
know.
like
It's
she,
fine.
you know what she does? I don't know if you realize it, but you know the straps that you're in?
Yes.
They actually look at your pulse. And it looks at your heartbeat. If you start to show stress, she goes to camera 2. So if you're calm about the answer, she's not going to switch.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm very calm about this answer. So we had shown you, I think before, you saw Deb on the other, what do we call that thing that we did?
Webcast.
The webcast.
Members only webcast.
The members only webcast. I don't know the names of these things. I'm not very technical. When we did that members only webcast, which you were on, Deb, you saw that there was that option for turning a collection into a shared collection. And maybe we could just do that here as well, just to give everybody a chance to see that. Let's just do that. Yeah, of course. Let's do that. Let me go over to Lightroom.
We're not, there we go.
There we go. All
There
right.
we go.
And inside of here,
That's a nice picture.
thank you.
It's very nice.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, by the way, you know, you made a very self-deprecating remark earlier about you not being a photographer. And you pulled up a grid of images earlier on the webcast, and I didn't want to interrupt you, but I was like, dang, dude. You had look stuff from like Burma and all this other stuff. You had some really nice shots.
No. I'm an amazing photographer. I'm just not a professional photographer.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like,
I won't do any
well, no,
humble.
you
like,
made it sound like,
no, I'm not a
no,
professional
no,
photographer.
no.
I'm not a professional by any stretch of the imagination.
You may not be a professional, but those were professional
Nobody
quality
pays
shots.
me to take
Doesn't
pictures.
matter. The quality of the shots were
Thank
professional,
you.
whether you get paid or not.
Thank
It's
you
a
very much,
different
Scott. I
thing.
appreciate that.
And-
But anyway, sorry to be such a silly guy. No, I'm not sorry. I like being silly. But what you can see over here is you've got this little double arrowed icon over here. In order, I saw somebody had asked a question. They weren't seeing this on their kind of login or their screen. And so what you need to have is a couple of things. First of all, you need to make sure that you're logged in. And so what we can do is you go up to the top and you see where it says my name. You gotta make sure it says sync with Lightroom Mobile. If it doesn't say sync with Lightroom Mobile, it might ask you to log in. And if you click on the login button, it'll log you in. It may ask you to enter your username and password. And this is the same username and password that you use for your Creative Cloud subscription. And once you make sure that that says you're logged in and sync with Lightroom Mobile is on, and to see like now it's paused, that means it's playing, so it'll even tell you sync is on. As long as that's there, then you will get this new column over here. I'll zoom in again just to make sure everybody can see it. You'll see this new column over here to the left of your collections. Or if I go in and I say make a new create collection, and I'll just go whoops, sweep over here. Hopefully nobody's getting sick while I'm doing this. And you'll see where it says sync with Lightroom Mobile. Now that's checked by default. And so any new collections that I create that's checked on, it will then include that synchronization with Lightroom Mobile. Now anything that I have there is going to be synchronized with
Right.
the online system. So if I go in here,
That's
for
the web
example,
and your other mobile devices.
right. So if I go in here and I open up Chrome and I go to Lightroom.adobe, come on, I can't even spell. Lightroom.adobe.com, right? And it says, welcome back, Josh. Hey, thanks a lot,
Hey,
guys.
Josh.
And then I look at view collections, and then we go over here to online collections. See, that's the one I just made. And you can see there's that photo that we had
Yeah,
already.
there you go, Dad.
And it's right there. So basically, it gives you that opportunity to create these kind of collections. We can see all these different things. And this is Lightroom Web that we talked about. And one of the cool things about this, of course, is if I go in and I want to like edit these things, I can just click on edit, and it'll open up the editing tools, and then I can just modify and play around with stuff. And of course, the internet's slow. It's getting there. Anyway, we're not gonna
Yeah,
waste
the
everybody's
internet
time.
in this room is terrible.
Unfortunately.
All right.
We're not gonna waste everybody's time
Wait,
with that.
can I
But
point out something that's important
Sure.
in what you showed? Because I can see people's comments coming in here. We got a ton of them. Thank you, guys. One of the comments is, well, I want to turn off syncing because I don't want it to sync this or I don't want it to sync that. It only syncs the collections that you go and say, share this collection. There's a lot of fear, I think, and I've talked to people where they think once I turn on sync, all my images are going to get sucked up to my mobile device. That is not it. You have complete control. Don't sync this, sync this.
Right.
The thing that you choose is what gets synced. Now, guys, I want you to invite you. I don't know if you know this or not. I write the blog lightroomkillertips.com. A couple of days ago, I did a short video on Lightroom Web and how to share galleries, because one of the things I don't think people realize is this is a wonderful way for you to share. So let's say that you're on vacation, you're in a different country, you sync your collection of your best photos from wherever you went. You went to Turkey, the capital, gobble gobble, and then you that's not the capital.
It is.
Oh, okay. And then you basically sync that collection. You can send a link to that collection to somebody else.
Yeah.
You can also, it's better than that. You can say, I want them to see this collection, but I only want them to see my pics.
you want to show them how they do
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Oh,
this
we
is
can do that.
great.
Yeah, let's switch back over to my computer. There we go.
Yeah.
And so we can go over here. We can click this little share button over here.
See these? Look at these images.
Oh gosh.
Dude.
And you can click shared. And then what you'll see is we've got a link right here that I can share either Facebook, Twitter, Google+. I can just copy and paste it. I even have options in here.
See? Look
I
at
can
that.
say,
I
like-
love this.
So look, for example, let's just zoom in over here. You can say like show everybody only the pics. So for example, if I only want people to show my pics, like I have this big collection, but I only want people to see those photos that I have personally said, these are my good
Yeah.
photos. I just do that. I even have the option to say allow downloads or not. Now this is off by default so that people don't have the
Right.
option of downloading your files if you don't want them to.
I want to be there for the person who says, show only photos that are rejected. These are all terrible. Take a look. All right, lots more questions
Well,
here.
you know, it makes sense, right?
All right, Johan is back. Johan says, I'm an old school photographer and I've never used Lightroom Mobile. Can you give me reasons why I should be using it?
I can give you one really good reason, and I had given this reason earlier, and I'm going to give that same reason again. Here we go. I got to reach over here to get this, though. This thing weighs a lot less than this thing. Number 1, number 2, number 3 to number 100 reason why one should use Lightroom Mobile. And also, this thing is also lighter than this thing, and also can use this one easily on the road.
And you know what else, Johan? You already know how to use it. When you open Lightroom Mobile and you see clarity, you know just what it does. And it's the same math. You know what it is, Johan? There's a ton of editing apps on the App Store, a bazillion of them. This is a professional photo editing tool. This isn't a joke, it isn't a toy, it's based on the actual mathematics that are in Lightroom itself. So if you want, and you're on the show all the time, I mean, you're really serious about this stuff. Do you want what your kids are using, or do you want to use a professional editing tool? It's a professional editing tool that fits on your phone or on your tablet. You're going to recognize the names, you're going to recognize the concepts, you're going to be able to use it immediately. You're not going to go, well, I don't know what to do.
And anything that you do on there automatically gets synchronized over here. So anything that I've done, I can just be able to pick up again and keep going.
So think about it this way, Johan. You make some changes on Lightroom Mobile. It's on your phone, it's on your tablet, it's on your laptop, it's on your desktop,
it's on Lightroom
it's
Web.
on Lightroom Web. And so that's a really, and that's where we should be today.
Yep.
We shouldn't be in a situation, we shouldn't be living in a world where, well, my iMac's all out of date, my stuff's not up to date there, and this is kind of a mess over there and all. Everything should be the same everywhere you go. And
Right.
I'm telling you, Johan, use it for a week and you'll be like, I can't believe I was using, whatever you're using, you'll like this better.
You might not be using anything. And so one of the things that's really interesting, what I really love about using mobile devices is that I've got my mobile phone with me everywhere. And one of the things that I used to think about my mobile phone is I used to think my mobile phone was just there for taking those really, really silly pictures of friends at a club or at a bar or like out and about or like doing like just, not really serious photography, as we would call it. And one of the things that I've noticed is I started bringing my phone with me more and more, or I should say I always had it, but I started taking it out to take pictures more and more. And I realized that with these pictures, I'm able to actually get really cool results. I'm able to edit them. I'm able to integrate them. And they may not be like the things I'm going to print out 500 feet high or tall, or I can't speak.
Do you print things 500 feet?
Oh, all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, all the time. But I might not print them out that large, but they will be really cool tools and images for telling a story. And I think that's what we're all doing here. We're photographers. We like to tell a story. And sometimes there's important stories to be told in between the stories. And the mobile devices take great photos. They're getting better and better every year. And there's been times in which we've seen photographers doing covers of important magazines and newspapers, and even for the Olympics, shooting on a mobile device. They're getting really good. I mean, the point is that they're there, they're easy, and one of the things that I've noticed, when you take out a phone, you can serendipitously take a picture of somebody, and nobody knows about it. When you take out a digital SLR,
Hey, Josh, that's not creepy at all.
no, not at all. But have you ever met a street photographer?
Yeah. Okay. All right. More things coming up. Okay. We got lots more questions. I'm going to get to some of them. I think it's break time. I'm starting to get that feeling. Oh gosh, yes it is. It's super break time. You know what's worse than a break? Super break. We're going to take a super break. We're actually almost like out of time. So we are going to take a break. We're going to do a lightning round when we come back because there's a lot of good questions. I just saw that Debbie Silko says Lightroom Web is great. She's going to be checking it out, so she's already looking at it. Let's go and take a short break. We're going to come back, lightning round when we come back, and some more stuff and giveaways and stuff. With Josh.
With me.
From Adobe.
From Adobe.
From San Jose.
I think as a professional, it's must to come and train yourself. If you want to be serious, you want to take it to the next level, there's no reason why you're not here.
Exciting. Like everybody's here and happy to be here, so it's a great environment to learn in. I really like it.
Amazing. Just meeting people. Everyone is wonderful, willing to help you out and give you advice.
So much dense educational opportunity time you get in the morning, the time you leave at 7 p.m. at night, there's stuff to learn.
With all the choices of the classes, with all of the people that you meet, you can't help but learn new things and be inspired by other people that are attending as well.
In a world where the next hotshot is out of reach, one brand stands alone to let you take it. Meet Max. June 1st, Kickstarter only. 30 days. Please don't miss it.
Hey, we're back. Scott Kelby here with Josh Haftel, the Adobe's actually, not just the general freelance, but the Adobe Lightroom mobile product manager here with us today. We're very excited to have him here. We're loving all your guys' questions today. You guys are pouring in the questions.
Thank you very much.
We're almost out of time, so we're going to have to just do the lightning round.
So where I only get to use one word?
Well, no, you can use a couple words, but you have to be really succinct. Here's why, because we're out of time, and there's some good ones. Like, for example, Joseph K7 has got a really good question here. My phone, so you just have to think very brief. You can use 2 words, 3 words. Joseph K7, my phone's camera shoots DNG files. What is the flow for phone camera to Lightroom mobile to Lightroom desktop? It's really a very easy thing.
Just make sure that you're logged in to Lightroom mobile with the same account that you're logged into Lightroom desktop. Add a photo into Lightroom mobile, and it will presto, bango, go into Lightroom desktop. Done.
That's it. All right. Laura Paris says, I am checking out Lightroom mobile seriously now. Yay,
Thank you, Laura.
You will love it. Anonymous 439778951 says, I'd like a detailed Lightroom mobile edit history reflected in the Lightroom desktop. I've never heard that. That sounds interesting.
I've heard that before.
So
it's a good point.
Changes that you make in Lightroom mobile when it comes up, you'd have to almost have a whole nother panel.
Not necessarily. Like when you think about it,
you could highlight it.
What you've edited inside of Lightroom desktop, you just want to see like, all right, this file has been modified in these ways.
Yes.
Right now, it just shows up as a single point.
You're right.
So instead of, I mean, the request here would be instead of just showing up as like edited Lightroom mobile, it would be like, all these things were done. Whether or not it's done in Lightroom mobile or not, it's almost a moot point. It's just that this file has been changed in the following ways.
Look at that, Johan. Okay, I'm convinced. I'll try it out.
Thank you,
okay, Johan. Next Wednesday on the grid, let me know what you think. So, let me know. I'll keep an eye out for your comments. Now, I do want to mention, since I just brought this up for a second, next week on the grid, we are doing live photo critiques. But next week, we are doing food critiques with Steve Hansen. So Steve Hansen's here. He's recording some classes for us. Steve Hansen is a brilliant food photographer. He's got classes on Kelby One already. We're bringing him back, and he's going to be my guest on the grid. We're doing blind food critiques, all right? So we're going to get for you in a minute the address where you put them. Don't send people. Don't send landscapes. We're looking at food photography. Steve Hansen's going to be here. It's going to be a lot of fun. That is next Wednesday, and we'll be looking out for Johan's 1 week with Lightroom mobile report.
Yes.
So let us know next week, Johan, how you liked it. But I think you're going to love it. You know what I think you're going to find out? The coolest thing about it is you're going to open it up, and you're going to be like, oh, I get this. When you get to the edit panel and you see the names and the sliders that you've been using, like for who knows how long, you're going to be like, this is great. Lori Svensson. Sorry, Lori. Lori Svensson says, can't wait to try it. David Long says, looks like my weekend is gone. Going to be playing with Lightroom Web.
Yes, please.
Bram Van Dal says, is there a way to take a photo as a smart object from Lightroom and back? I think you're saying to mobile. Is there a way to make I'm not sure what you're saying, Bram.
I think that what he's saying is like, or I'm assuming Bram, sorry. I'm assuming what Bram is saying is there a way to use Lightroom as a smart object? And we know that on the desktop, there's a way of doing this.
Going to Photoshop with an image from,
Yep, and you can do that in Photoshop and save it as a smart object and save all the stuff.
But not back.
Well, I mean, you see at the PSD, you have all the smart objects inside.
But not to mobile.
But there isn't a way of doing that in mobile, right? So I think the question might be like, if you're using Lightroom Mobile and you were interacting with other applications like Photoshop Fix or Photoshop Mix, could you do the similar kind of thing? And that is definitely a request that we've heard before. So maybe.
All right, Raging Badger. The Badger. Raging Badger says, how about cloud processing for the hard work? So some of this crazy math, could you shoot it up to the cloud for processing?
I mean, sure. It depends on what it was. I mean, it depends on also what it is your expectation is. If you have to like push it up to the cloud, then how long is it going to take, and how long is the stuff going to come back down again, and what's your interaction? And so we are always looking at how to use the cloud to get more advantage and like be able to use the processing power of the infinite number of cores and memory and blah 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 that exists inside of the cloud. But it's not something that can be solved. It's not a solution for everything.
It's not. Chuck Palmer, this sounds like a Lightroom desktop question. I want to be able to hold down a control key and be able to duplicate a brush or the gradient to be used somewhere else in the photo. Chuck, just hold down the Option key on Mac or the Alt key on Windows. It'll duplicate a brush or the gradient tool on Lightroom desktop. So it's just a different key. But yeah, it does the same thing. Let's see. So David Long says, teaching people Lightroom for the first time and seeing their jaw drop is one of my favorite things. And David you spelled favorite incorrectly, so you must be from the UK.
Or Canada.
Or Canada.
Or Australia.
They spell it wrong there too? Oh, it could be any one of those places. Just totally kidding.
Or India.
VWMO says, thanks for the hope on keywords. Appreciate it and appreciate some of the potential difficulties in implementation.
Thank you. I appreciate
that was very
your appreciation.
Nice. That was very nice.
It makes me feel good that you hear where we're coming from.
Raging Badger says, without Lightroom, I would still be sorting photos that I shot a year ago.
You and me both.
Paul Payton says, Lightroom frequency separation. Just kidding. All right. That's a kind of a complex Photoshop thing for retouching skin. Finnish guy, and that's Finnish from like Finland, says, well, I kind of answered this was, how do I disable sync? I don't want to sync my WhatsApp photos on Lightroom Web and all. It only syncs the collections that you choose.
Well, hold on. Let's go back to that real quickly.
Okay.
Let's just be clear about this.
Bring it back.
So how do I disable Lightroom sync in Lightroom Mobile? So like from Lightroom Mobile. So he's doing some photos. He's using WhatsApp. He's taking some photos inside of there. Those photos are going into his camera roll.
Oh, this is different.
And so here's the thing that can happen. So there is an auto add feature inside of Lightroom Mobile. And if you turn the auto add feature, it's going to look for any photos that are inside of the camera roll and automatically sync them in. And then it will put them up. Now, if you set your auto add collection, which you can do, you can either say auto add to just the generic Lightroom thing, or you can say auto add into a specific collection, and if you put it into a specific collection, well, you could share that collection accidentally.
So this happened to me.
But you can also have the scenario where you've just got your Lightroom web gunked up with a bunch of stuff. So this is a conversation that we've been having recently. We've been talking about what can we do, because we know that our mobile devices are not just the cameras. That's the one difference between like a camera and a mobile device.
Yes.
Sometimes our cameras are only full of our serious photos, whereas our Lightroom mobile devices are used for taking pictures of what my shirt is, if I want to show somebody I'm wearing this shirt today, or maybe where I've parked, or what kind of food I was eating, or answering questions with photos. This is something that we've seen Snapchat help us with.
I would love to know where you're parked. This happened to me, Finnish
front of
guy.
you.
I did a whole series of nude selfies, and I accidentally shared them on Lightroom Web, and so yeah, they were surprisingly tasteful, weren't they? Thank you. So anonymous 833-572-991 says non-committal is good. How often will you have a physician guarantee something will work 100%? Greg,
thank you.
Greg Holtfeder says, how about migrating dodge and burn of highlights, midtones, and shadows?
So let me make sure I understand. You want to do selective lightening or darkening of only the highlights, of only the midtones, or only the shadows.
Yeah. Because you can do that in Photoshop.
But you can also do something similar to that with the brush inside of Lightroom.
Yeah, you could.
You could do the highlights, the shadows, or the midtones.
Yeah, I don't think it works the same way it does in Photoshop, but he's right. The exposure slider would be the midtones. Of course, there is a highlight slider and a shadow slider. So you're right. I think it's a little different, but I think it might be better.
I'm the worst kind of right. I'm technically right.
You're technically right, and that's the worst kind of right.
Mm-hmm. But I think the question is also, like, could we do that in Lightroom Mobile? And why not at some point, maybe?
Mark Rodriguez says, is there any way you could put Lightroom into Photoshop? Just go ahead and stick the whole program right in there and be done with it.
Well, why would you want to do that, Mark? Why would we want to go into Photoshop ever? I just want to use Lightroom.
All right, Johan says, I have the 2015.6 version of Lightroom. How do I know if this is the latest version? Let me go see what the latest version is, Johan. The latest version I have is the 2015.6 release, which is interesting because, once again, it's 2016 and it just updated like 3 days ago or a week ago or whenever it was. Right. So, yeah, you have the latest version. So, what was Johan's thing?
He was asking if there had been any updates to it.
Yeah. Hey, you know what, Johan? Go to lightroomkillertips.com. I wrote about some of the new features here recently. You probably have to go back a week, 10 days, and you're going to go, oh, there's new stuff. It doesn't always jump out at you like when you go there. This is a good question, and we're going to have to kind of wrap up with this, I believe. Ben Jimmy says, does Lightroom Mobile have a JDI process? Is there some magic place to suggest JDIs for this or any other lap? I first, really quickly, before you answer this, I want to explain what a JDI is. So you know that Adobe engineers are always creating this amazing magic stuff. This week's release of Photoshop proves that they are just thinking on a whole different level. And of course, they are very, very excited to work on a cool, amazing thing that they know is going to blow people away. But in every one of these, like in the Photoshop process of building the next version of Photoshop, they stop across the board and they go back and do the thing they hate to do more than anything, which is look at old features. But they've made a decision. You know what? There's things we can go back and fix and make better that aren't sexy, that aren't don't make people's jaws drop, but they're an important part of people's workflow. It's something that you deal with every day. I'll give you an example of one. I actually demoed this, and it's the only time in a demo I got a standing ovation in my life was when Photoshop let you change the name of a layer by just double-clicking on the name. It used to bring up a dialog box. You had to type it in, click OK, and it went back there. And when I showed it for the first time, that's an example of a JDI. JDI stands for just do it. Stop all the other cool stuff and just do it. Just fix it, just add this thing. So now, let's read the question again. Is there some magic place to suggest JDIs for Lightroom Mobile or for any other Adobe app?
Well, I mean, where the JDIs actually came up from was inside of our pre-release forum. So we do have JDIs that are being recommended inside of the pre-release forum. So for an external JDI resource, I mean, you can @message me at Twitter, and
He lives on Twitter.
No, I don't live on Twitter, but I get
daily.
I get a notification at least every time I get a thingy there. So at least I'll read it. But I mean, the thing is that we can, yeah.
Would love to see the gradient tool in mobile version. I would love to see the gradient tool, the neutral density gradient. It's called the graduated filter in regular desktop Lightroom. That and the radial, those two would be my big ones because those are two that I use, besides the adjustment brush, those are the two I use the most. I don't use the red eye tool, I can tell you that. Just sorry.
No, I don't use the red eye tool either. But you know what? That sounds like a great idea.
There was a time.
Yep.
But red eye isn't what it used to be.
No. But that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, guys, you've got so many good questions. I just hate to leave you hanging. But we're 14 minutes over, so we are going to have to run. I want to show you where to enter the contest. Again, we're giving away 3 ebooks, so 3 Kindle versions of basically, or whatever version you use, because this is coming directly from the publisher, so they'll give you the version you want. Of my new book, it's not in print yet. We're waiting for it to come off press. It's called How Do I Do That in Photoshop? And I imagine that if you move it to this side of your face, watch what happens. Watch. It zooms in. Isn't that crazy? It's weird. All right, so that is that. We're giving away 3 copies of this, or we're giving away a print copy of How Do I Do That in Lightroom. It's already available. It's already out there in print, and it's been awesome. So here's where you go. You're going to go to kelby1.com/webcast-contest. Give us your name, your address, and then tell us which of the 2 books you want to win, the Lightroom book or the Photoshop book. That's all you have to put in there in the comments. We'll pick a winner, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world, because we're loose with money. We'll send it to you. No problem. Especially an ebook. Come on. Now, there is a special deal on this book. If you want to buy the actual print version of this new book, there's actually a deal on both of them. You're going to go to Rocky Nook. Okay, that's my book publisher. Go to rockynook.com/deals of the week, and there is a deal. So you can get $10 off just for $10 for the ebook, $20 for the print book, or $25 for the print and the ebook. It is a screaming deal. Go to rockynook.com deals of the week, or just go to rockynook.com and look for their deals of the week look, and that's a really, really good deal. And here's the thing. If they cut it down to nothing, they still send me the same amount of money. So I'm happy that there's a great deal. I want you to pay as little as possible. I wish they would give it to you for 50 cents. Anyway, so we've already determined today that we can reach you on Twitter. Like, that's a good place. Where else is a good place for people to contact you? Is there another like cell phone number or maybe directions to your house? Can they stop by and just ask questions?
Sure. I love it.
Or what else are you on besides Twitter? Are you on Instagram?
I'm on Instagram.
And you're just Josh Haftel on Instagram?
Josh Haftel on Instagram.
JFTEL. You're on Google+. I'm glad to see someone is.
Yep.
Who else?
Well, I used to work on Google+. So.
You did used to work on Google+, and that's why you're still there.
That's why I'm still there. Well, very frequently.
Very frequently?
No.
All right. Anyway, those are the great places. Josh, I cannot thank you enough for being our guest today. This was awesome for you to come here. It was awesome to get to spend some time with you and getting to know you. Despite how I teased him today, he's an awesome guy. I am very, very glad that you are the product manager for Lightroom Mobile.
Me too.
And this is awesome. I love what you guys are doing. I'm so proud of Adobe and the engineers and the stuff that they're doing. It's such a great week to be an Adobe customer with what they just did right with Photoshop this week, which is awesome. And the fact that you can get Photoshop and Lightroom for $7.99 if you're new to the Creative Cloud and a Kelby One member. Because we have a deal. Isn't that good? $7.99. Love that deal. All right. So anyway, thank you for being here. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks to all the Kelby One members who tuned into our webcast today. We had some great things. Thanks to a hybrid Dave, who occasionally writes something. We don't read it, but he did write something, and we just ignore it because it's Dave. Anyway, thanks to you all. We'll see you next week for our food. Do we ever find the address to where to submit the food?
Yep, it's kelbytv.com/thegrid/critique.
Okay, so it's kelbytv.com/thegrid/critique. That's where you upload your food photography photos for next week with Steve Hampson. On behalf of myself and the lovely Josh Haftel, we'll see you guys next week.